So in every one of our traditions, there are a few elements that are universal, timeless, and central to our faith. These foundations must be constantly reinforced and strengthened. Every one of our faiths has the pillars on which the faith rests. However, there is a lot of greater area of practice and belief that must be malleable to the forces of our current age. There are many things in each of our faiths that centuries ago, millennia ago, served a functional purpose, but over time, that has taken on a spiritual significance. You know, I'll tell a quick story of a black cat. It's probably not true, but there was a monastery where a bunch of young monks were being taught, and they were little kids, and they were playing around, and they would go through their daily meditations. And they were up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, and one of the kids, one of the young monks, got a black cat. And he got this cat, and he kept it as a pet, and the older monks didn't mind because they give the kids a chance to play. But when they would sit down to do their meditations, and the children would sit down, this cat would come and start jumping on their laps, jumping around, putting their tail behind the kids' ears, and it's generally causing a distraction. So the older monk says, do something about that cat. So what the boy does is he takes a nail, digs it into the ground, and ties the cat up to that nail. And that was fine. They would continue with their meditations, and the cat would be there during the meditations. And that boy kind of grew up, and when he moved on, he gave the cat to someone else, to one of the other boys to look at. So the other boys, the instructions to the boy was, take care of the cat, but when it's time for the meditations, just tie it to the ground. And the boy would do that. And this cat, had 9 lives, so he kept going through a few months, and the boys would grow on and pass the cat on to successive monks. Well, one day, the cat eventually died. So what did the monks go and do? They went and got another black cat. Because what had become something that was functional at that time took on spiritual significance. And so they thought that you cannot meditate without a black cat in your presence. And so we need to think about, what are the black cats in our faith? What are those things that were, at one point, had some very specific, significant, functional significance, but now we've treated them as if you try talking about those things, it becomes sacrilege. So we must deal head-on with the inequalities in our faiths based on gender, race, sexual orientation at all levels within our communities. No matter how inextricably linked these prejudices appear to be with our doctrines, I fundamentally believe that these inequalities were not what our prophets had in mind. But somehow along the way, call it culture, call it politics, whatever it is, these inequalities have crept into our doctrine. And as leaders of the faith groups, we need to get with the times. If our society is becoming equality-based, it's becoming a meritocracy, where your lot in life is determined by what you do, not by who you are, our faiths need to mirror that. It is these types of biases that make religion seem hopelessly out of touch with the rest of the world. As sung by Guru Ram Das, our 4th Sikh Guru, he says, all are made of the same clay, the light within all is the same, the one light pervades all the many and various beings. We're all one. Secondly, the practice of faith and its transmission to the next generation must move away from the all too convenient tools of guilt and fear. If I'm a Sikh boy, and many Sikh boys have this problem, a young Sikh's religious practice should not be guided out of fear of his father's wrath, nor the guilt of a disappointing mother. And if I ask many teenage, and I'm speaking on behalf of my community, and lifting the curtains back, if you ask many young Sikh boys, pick on the boys who are teenagers, and they're keeping their hair in their turban, and they ask them, well, why are you keeping your hair? And they say, well, you know what, if I cut my hair, Dad will kick me out of the house, and my mom will cry herself to death. So what's keeping my religious observation? Fear and guilt. And as we've heard today, what is the essence of all of our faiths? What is the essence of humanity? It's not fear or guilt, it's love. So rather than fear or guilt, our faith should grow out of our love. For a young Sikh, that love should be for his Guru, a love for his Sikh identity, a love for his fellow Sikhs, and a love for all of humanity and God's creation. So I believe that collectively we're falling out of love with our faith, despite love being the foundation of every one of them. So as a Sikh, I wear the 5 Ks of our faith, right? And many of you have heard about the most contentious of the kirpan, the hair, the bangle, all of these things. And Sikhs have invented some very complicated reasonings and rationale for why we keep each of these symbols or articles of our faith. But the one I propose to you is the same that I have for this little ring I wear on my 3rd finger, on my 4th finger. This ring has no function. I can't do anything with it. I can't open it. I can't break anything with it. It has some physical value. But why do I wear it? I don't wear it because of that. I wear it for simply one thing: love. Love for my partner in this lifetime. Love for someone who I've chosen to spend my entire life with. Spend this life with. Well, why do I wear my kakars? Why do I wear my 5 Ks? Not out of any logic. I wear them out of love for my coach, my guru, who's going to be with me in this lifetime, and is going to be there, and who knows what's going to take place afterwards, but someone who's guiding me across. So I can give you all the rationale for logic, all the logic for faith, but what Shakespeare says, where there's love, there's no need for logic, right? So how do we start loving again and making faith relevant to our lives? I propose that religion is less a matter for the head than it is of the heart. And so we must start helping individuals reconnect with this essence of their respective faith, which is that love. Our 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, stated very clearly in his poetry, "Let this eternal truth be known to all, that only those who have love for divinity, love for the Creator, and love for the creation can ever attain infinity." So, in closing, I hope today that as we come together to learn, to listen, to understand, to be understood. We come together to overcome the knee-jerk reactions of using fear, guilt, and force to try to bring people to faith, try to bring people to our way of the world. And we rely more on love, which is harder, more difficult, but more sustainable. And I think if we do that and we connect that disconnect between Gani and Karni, between saying and doing, as members of faith, I think we can certainly make faith relevant in today's society. Thank you very much.